You don't like mahogany necks? What do you think, you're better than me? Your sister. Hey everybody, this is Matt and we're at Texas Toast Guitars. Thanks for watching. I'm having a lot of fun with the goofy reach out and grab you first 3 seconds. But let's talk about mahogany necks. So a lot of great comments in the comment section from our first video, pretty well received video. So I think it's time to do some more. In fact, the neck that I have in my hand today is going to be what we do with this neck that you might remember from the previous video. Okay, so let's switch necks again here. There's been a lot of, like I said, a lot of great comments. Some people were like, mahogany necks always break, and I think a Fender style neck made of mahogany is certainly no more apt to break than a maple one. I think a lot of people get confused because they think that all mahogany necks have Gibson angle headstocks, and whether or not those break all the time is a topic for another video. But as you can see here, this is still perfectly flat. So yeah, I think a mahogany neck in the Fender style mahogany neck is a terrific wood for necks. Someone was like, well, who cares how easy it is to machine? What if the customer doesn't like mahogany neck? Well, okay, yeah, I guess not. The purpose of this video is to let you guys know that there are alternative woods. Oh, one guy said we should use no mahogany because the rainforest is the lungs of the earth. Got it. I don't think that guitar builders, even the most, the highest production number guitar factories use a fraction of the mahogany that gets harvested every year. Okay. The purpose of this video is to show you guys that mahogany is a cool neck wood, and you don't have to take my word for it. Like I say, Fender uses mahogany, and it's this style Fender neck made of mahogany for all their Acoustasonic guitars. All the ones I remember seeing. Chris actually brought one in the other day. It had a mahogany neck. Looked really cool. So again, it's not like I'm, breaking any new ground here, making necks out of mahogany. Lots of people have done it, and lots of people will continue to do it. But mahogany is a terrific, terrific wood. All right? And for the guy who says, depends on what the customer wants, yeah, I get that. But as I said in the first video, mahogany is an accepted guitar neck wood. So, blow it out your ass. Okay, anyway, so let's talk about the original neck here and what we're going to do to it. Today, in today's video, we're going to plop our truss rod in. We're going to glue our fretboard down. We're going to trim it out to size. We're going to remove all this stuff here. We're going to cut for fret slots, and I think we're even going to put the little scoop on the headstock in. And when it's all said and done, it's going to look a little like this. This neck turned out pretty neat. Oh, the other thing we're going to do is we're going to add this this little shelf here, mostly because I like it. You don't have to do it, but we'll talk about that as we go. If we have time, we might do some radiusing of the fretboard and get ready for frets. And there's not going to be a whole lot that happens in this video that's going to be like, oh man, mahogany is so much nicer than maple, except for this little patch right here. In the subsequent videos that we do when we're actually shaping the neck, that's when we're going to really realize the luxury that is the pleasure of shaping a neck made out of mahogany. So enough with that kind of bull crap. Let's get on with it. So this neck is ready for a truss rod and ready for a fretboard. Let's go glue it together. Okay, gang, I think I've got a camera angle that should work. Please forgive my incredibly dirty workspace. This is busy time for us, and I wanted to make this video, and I didn't really want to clean up. So, okay, I've got my neck ready to go here. Again, this is a mahogany neck. I've got my my truss rod. This is my handy truss rod that I get these from Bitterroot, and lots and lots and lots of guitar companies that you've heard of use these truss rods. They're really good. They're two-way acting. They're terrific. They're easy to install, etc. Sometimes these slots get a little bit wide, so I put a little piece of tape. That's what this orange thing is here, just to keep it from rattling around a little bit. I also like to remember to check and make sure that my truss rod access hole is one in the neck, and two that I can actually get the wrench in and out of the access hole here. Kind of just goes in. And sometimes people have a hard time figuring out how these work, but I really like the clean installation that is. Okay. My fretboard that I'm going to be using, this is a piece of Chechen that I had here in the shop. Chechen is also known as black poison wood. So if you can call something black poison wood and you don't, well, that's a missed opportunity, right? So this is kind of a plain one, but we're just going to plop it on here and be good. I want to, when I glue this on, I want to leave a little bit of my truss rod access area installed, installed. I want to leave a little bit of my truss rod access area showing. It's going to get carved back, so don't sweat it. But really what we're looking for is that the whole length of the neck is got fretboard covering it, okay? In other words, we don't want it to look like this or like this. We want it to be mostly in the center, and our fretboard's oversized, so it's not going to be a big deal. All right? And now is the time to just glue it down. I like to protect the truss rod and the surrounding area with a piece of tape. Now, you don't have to do this, okay? As a matter of fact, some people don't do this when they're using this truss rod, or they actually go back and put more glue over the truss rod. That's not really my style. You guys can do however you want, but I like to put a piece of tape, except for this little back end here. It's got some space around the end of the rod, so I actually mash in some glue into that spot, and then cover the rest of the neck with adhesive. All right, now this is my favorite glue spreading tool. This is a braiding tool, broder, something like that. You can get them at like Hobby Lobby. It's for ink. Someone in the comment section will remind me how it's pronounced. I think it's braider. This is kind of a soft, like a neoprene or something. Man, it's a great tool. I think it was like $6 or $7, and it's been fantastic. I think I saw a chunk of turd in there that I want to get rid of. I don't see it now. All right, we'll remember to pull the tape, thus exposing our truss rod to the world one last time, and we're going to plop the fretboard on here, just like this. And now we'll get some clamps and squeeze it. I'm hoping that this shows up in the camera. I think it still is. It's hard for me to look and do all at the same time. Hey Matt, what about them holes there for the neck bolts? Aren't you afraid there's going to be glue that gets in there? Yeah, I suppose glue could get in there, but I'm not too worried about it. There's not going to be that much glue, and there's going to be a big piece of metal that goes in there. So that will all get cleaned out by the big hunk of metal. We got the perfect amount of squeeze out. Not very much, just a little tiny bit all the way around, which means we got the right amount of glue and we got the right amount of clamp. Okay, so we're going to let that sit for about an hour, and we'll come back and do the next step. Okay, it's been a little bit more than an hour and our fretboard is securely glued down. Now it's time to trim all this excess off. I've decided that I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do and then just do it and not talk during the doing it part. So, a few things to keep in mind. I need to trim with the bandsaw all the way down here, but because I'm leaving a little bit of extra material on the end for a 22nd fret, I need to remember to not go all the way around when I'm cutting this on the bandsaw. And I need to keep remembering it's not going all the way around when I use the router to clean up the extra fretboard. So what we're going to do is we're going to trim with the bandsaw the outline, get it close without nicking the neck. That's important. And then we're going to take it over to the router and using a flush trim bit and the neck meat itself as a template, we're going to buzz off the rest of the fretboard that we couldn't get with the bandsaw and get it nice and smooth, okay? And then I'm going to show you what we do to kind of make this guy happen here. It's the same thing you'd do if the neck was maple, but this is a video all about mahogany necks. Remember when I said I was going to do all this stuff and not talk? Well, then I forgot to push the button. So what I did was I trimmed off all of this. Let's see if we can get this in the old frame here. I trimmed off these sections of the fretboard, and I made sure to not cut into my neck. Okay, that's the biggest trick. I also left a little bit on the end here for my overhang so that I can have 22 frets. And now we're going to go over to the router and we're going to clean this up. I promise you, I'm going to make sure the camera is working this time. Okay, I don't know if you guys saw that, but as I was routing, I lost a chunk of this fretboard right here. Now, one thing that we could do is we could finish going and then bind this part of the neck. Or what we're going to do is, because I have the chip, we are going to glue it back in and clamp it, and no one will ever know. All right, I clamp the piece back in. Now I'm just going to wick in a little bit of very thin CA glue, and it's going to flow in and fill in the crack, or fill in the I'm going to put some on the other side, because why not? Okay, and I'm probably gluing my clamp to the neck here, but I'm not going to trip on it. It should come right off. We're going to let that set for a little bit. I'm not going to try to hit it with accelerator and just force it to go. I'm going to actually leave it sit for about 20 minutes. We'll come back and have a look at it, okay? All right, so as you guys can see, I've cleaned this area up with some super glue, but I don't want to just go running this through the router again. What I probably should do is sand this as close as I possibly can get it without actually touching the wood on my edge sander, which is not a bad idea to do even if you don't get a chip. In fact, I bet you some of you guys were like, hey, I bet you if you sanded that first, and you'd be making this face and waving your arms around. It's true, if you get it really, really close with the sander, you won't have any issues with tear out. So let's do that now. now, sorry, that means a lot. So keep outstanding. So what I need to do next, I need to extend my neck out to this area here where my front side fret will go. But now the extend too. So line up with straight lines that are the profile of the neck, just keep going to the other side. Okay, guys, so crisis averted. We had a close call with the router. Let's take a moment to talk about that. Even though I said I wasn't going to talk, I was just going to do. You guys know better. So first of all, you can still see right here a little bit of the discoloration from the glue. If this neck ever gets finished, and if it ever has finish put on it, that will basically disappear. No one will ever know. I'm not going to say anything. I know you guys are cool. You're not going to say anything. So, you know, no harm, no foul. We were able to get the chunk and glue it back on, no problem. Now, some of you might have been saying this whole time, you know what, G-Matt, you broke your cardinal rule. You used the smallest flush trim bit that you have rather than the biggest one. So if you notice that, you're 100% right. I was using my 1/4 inch flush trim bit, really because it gets the closest to what it's flush trimming. Dumb idea though. So I went back and I put my 1/2 inch flush trim cutter in there, and no big deal. So there's lots of ways you can get around that. Sometimes you use a little bit and you get real chippy fretboard wood, and that's just the way life goes. But you know what? We're good to go. So it's time for what I think is going to be the neatest part of this video, and that's how I show you how to cut fret slots on the neck that already has a fretboard attached. There's lots of ways to do this. I'm just going to show you the way I do it. I'm going to have to move the camera though to show you the neat stuff. Okay, I've got my neck and my StewMac fret slotting guide. Now you'll notice on the fret slotting guide that there are little notches, and those are going to index on my saw. This is all going to make sense here in a moment. I also have some holes drilled in my fret slotting template. Actually, I have lots of them drilled. The holes that I'm going to use today correspond with the one here where the low E is going to go, and these two back here where the neck bolts are going to go. And they are going to correspond to this one here and this one here, with this one here and this one here. And this hole where the low E is going to go eventually is going to correspond with this hole right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to attach our StewMac template to our neck using some 1/8 inch dowels and maybe even a little bit of double stick tape, and then we'll take it over to the radial arm saw and we'll cut the fret slots. Okay guys, I honestly don't know how I'm going to film this and do this at the same time because I'm going to have this exposed blade spinning. But what I want you to see is this little pin right here, and that little pin, hold on, engages with those notches. You see it, right? Okay, there's the pin. There you go. You can see it engage in that notch. And we'll move it down and we'll cut 23 perfect fret slots, and we'll also cut the end of the fretboard and the nut slot at the same time. All right, there we go. 23 perfect fret slots. Hey Matt, there's only 22 frets. Yeah, I know, but I wanted to cut this 23rd one here so that would be the end of my fretboard. As well as the neck end of the fretboard and the nut slot, all in one perfectly done motion. don't buy one of these tools, okay? It's wildly unsafe. You can try to make it safer, but I'm just telling you right now, don't do this, you'll cut your hand off, okay? All right, in that last little bit of video where I wasn't talking, I went ahead and drilled out my my 1/8 inch pin that I used as an index pin to cut my fret slots. Went ahead and drilled it out to 1/4 inch on the back, and then I drilled all the other holes to be the whatever the measurement is for the press-in bushing style tuners that I've selected for this neck. That's a StewMac tool. You guys have seen videos on that before, so you know, no big deal. It's easy and fun. So there's one more thing I have to do to get this neck to the same spot as this neck, and that is to put the little scoop out thing right here onto this neck. And any one of you who's been watching my channel for any amount of time knows we're going to go to the Old Man machine, which is a shop-built thickness sander with the sanding drum on the top that allows me to push the piece in and pull it back out again, just like we used at Roberto Venn when I went there in the 80s. And they probably had that machine way before I got there. So let's go over to my shop-built thickness sander and we'll start to thickness this neck. If this were a maple neck, I would strongly advise for you to cut out as much of this stuff as you could, because maple's quite a bit harder to machine with an abrasive drum than mahogany is. So it's no big deal for a bandsaw to cut this chunk away with maple or mahogany. But if you're going to remove material with an abrasive drum, like I say, maple's a lot harder to do than mahogany is. All right. You know what you have to do, Matt? You have to press the record button. No, you don't. You already did. Well, we'll see. This whole pressing the record button, it's kind of a P in the A. When you're using this machine, you have to pay close attention to the fretboard area that's going to get ground away while you're thicknessing the headstock, okay? Because you can't see this part right here. Now, I urge you, if you're going to use this on an Old Man machine, before you radius it, to get closer to your nut slot than you think you're going to need to. All right, there we have it, gang. Perfectly executed little swoop there. We got pretty close to the nut slot. As I'm gonna see if I can get it focused here. We got pretty close to the nut slot, but remember, when we radius the fretboard, it's gonna take material off, thus pushing this back towards the headstock. All right, well, we had a couple of missteps. We had a couple of twists and turns. Had a couple of times where I forgot to turn the camera on. But at the end of the day, we have two matching Mahogany necks. Well, they're not completely matching. This one's got a Strat heel, and this one's got a Tele heel. This one has kind of a stylized version of a Strat headstock and a Tele headstock. Not exactly, but you know, you have to use your imagination a little bit. So in the video, let's recap. We glued on our fretboard. We cut our fret slots. We ground everything down so that the fretboard was the right dimensions, and we even left a little bit there to have our 22nd fret. There's probably some glue squeeze out. You can see it right there. We probably need to clean that out at some point. But yeah, I think these two necks here are, look at my hand, looks weird. I think these two necks here are ready for, well, inlay if they get them, frets, if they get them, they'll get frets, nut, shaping, tuners, and installation into a guitar. Oh, maybe some finish too. So anyway, I hope you guys like this video. There's going to be one more where we actually shape these necks, and we'll have a couple of really nice mahogany Fender style necks. I love mahogany style necks. I love maple style necks too. Mahogany is a pleasure to work with. It is a dream to work with. I remember, oh, the chip that I had right here. Remember, that wasn't on the mahogany. That was on the fretboard. This Black Poison or this Chechen fretboard, which is very, very dry and in this case very fragile. So in terms of, you know, for cutting, high-speed cutting tools, etc. Anyway, guys, I hope that you liked this video. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, you need to do so right now. And if you like this kind of thing, you might want to go over to our Patreon page and consider becoming a member. As of right now, when I make this video, you have unencumbered access to our neck through online workshop, even at the most basic level, which is $1. So I don't know how many months it's going to take us to finish this. Let's say it takes 12 months to finish it. It's not going to take 12 months, but let's say it takes 12 months. You could watch the whole thing for $12. Why don't you guys do that? Or you could just wait till the end, I guess, and pay $1 and then see it. But don't be that guy. You know what? If a camera was following you around your whole life, you wouldn't be proud of that. So anyway, guys, until next time, this is Matt reminding you that if you're so smart, start your own YouTube channel. That's what I did. We'll see you next time. Have a great week, everybody. I wanna play my guitar the only way